do want to start off today by saying that I am recording this podcast today about 12 hours after the conclusion of game one between the Warriors and Celtics. And my first initial thought watching that game last night, specifically the fourth quarter, was just wow. Complete and utter shock. If you would have told me that Golden State would have went into the fourth quarter up 13, they put up a 38 piece in the third quarter, I pretty much would have called the game over. But Boston's physical and mental toughness is what won them this game. You know, we've seen the last 5 years that Golden State made that championship run where they won 3 out of 5 titles, 2015, 2017, 2018, with or without Kevin Durant. They could go on these spurts. You know, they most happened in the third quarter, but they've happened in other quarters as well, where you got Steph Curry, who, of course, made 7 threes by the arc in the first quarter of game one. You have Klay Thompson. Now they add in Andrew Wiggins, Otto Porter, Jordan Poole, Andre Iguodala, who came back from an injury. And when all these guys make shots, and when Golden State gets 38 points in the third quarter and they just blitz you, most teams would fold, especially with Boston, who their best player, Jason Tatum, did not have a great game last night. But Jason Tatum's running mate, Jaylen Brown, along with Marcus Smart and Al Horford, who made some big key shots in the fourth quarter last night, and Robert Williams, these guys did not flinch. They did not panic. They believed in the game plan. They didn't get flustered when Curry went off for 21 in the first quarter. They stayed with it. They had a 2-point lead at the halftime. Boston is a very physically tough team. They're a mentally tough team. And that's when you need to go in there and beat the Golden State Warriors. Boston is not necessarily more talented than Golden State. You know, I think Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown could every night cancel out Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. But when you throw in Jordan Poole as Golden State's third scorer, Golden State almost always should have enough to beat Boston. Except last night, again, Al Horford and Marcus Smart and these guys for Boston, Peyton Pritchard, made key plays in the fourth quarter, made key shots, and they made Golden State feel the pressure. You know, if Golden State would have came out in the fourth quarter and extended that lead anymore, 15, 17 points, it's probably over. But Boston came out, they went on a 7-0 run, a 10-0 run. They cut the 13-point deficit to 3. It was 103-101. Golden State, they still had control in the ball game, and then it just unraveled from there. Now Golden State's defense unraveled, and the Celtics were able to put up 40 points in the fourth quarter, something that I wouldn't have thought was possible against that great Golden State team. Saying that, though, Golden State does have finals experience. I think it does matter. After Boston eliminated Brooklyn from the first round, I said Boston was legit. I didn't know if they were going to beat Milwaukee even without Chris Middleton. I thought Giannis Antetokounmpo in 6 or 7 games, so I thought it was going to be a really close series. I thought the best player in the world would rise to the occasion and win that series. He did not. I picked Boston over Miami. I thought that Boston was just a great team. And listen, we saw Boston, in my opinion, play better throughout that series. But at the end of the day, if Jimmy Butler hits that shot at the end of Game 7 because Boston went their foot off the gas pedal, we might have had Golden State versus a Miami finals instead of Golden State versus Boston. So a lot of these games are coming down to situations. A lot of these games are coming down to shooting, and it's coming down to defense. The NBA has changed, and I think that there is no more evidence than this past finals. I just mentioned a couple minutes ago, a couple years ago, even without Kevin Durant, when they still just went with Steph, Klay, and Draymond as their third best player. Obviously, they had Harrison Barnes and Andre Iguodala as well. Golden State would go on one blitz, and the game would be over. That's not the case now because of the 3-point shot. Now, I don't expect Boston to hit as many threes as they did in Game 1. Golden State certainly capable, though Steph Curry, I'm sure, is not going to duplicate his performance that he had in the first quarter of Game 1 all the way for the series. That's just not going to happen. They do need more production from Jordan Poole. They do need more production from Klay Thompson, and they need Draymond Green to always make a couple shots because you can tell Boston was just pretty much leaving him essentially open. Draymond was 1 for 6 at 1 point from 3, and that's just not going to cut it. but I still think that experience matters in the finals. Golden State has that experience. I do expect them to win the series. I picked Golden State in 6 games. I picked Steph Curry to win finals MVP before this series starts. Really, this series is sitting on a silver platter for Steph Curry. Yes, Curry does have 3 NBA championships, but none of those championships he won were finals MVP. One of them, Andre Iguodala, obviously, in 2015, and then back-to-back Kevin Durant in 2017 and 2018. Even if Curry was the leader of the Warriors, even through the KD years, it was Kevin Durant, or it was Andre Iguodala, or it was Draymond Green, or it was Klay Thompson. It was always somebody else making the big difference in the game, hitting the shot, the moment, the stop, whatever it may be. And in the 2 finals that they have lost, 2016 and 2019, obviously against Toronto, Curry has came up shy. 2019, he obviously lost Klay Thompson in Game 6, and Thompson was having an incredible performance. I still argue if Klay Thompson stayed in that game, Golden State would probably beat Toronto in 7 games just because of the way that they were playing. But at the end of the day, Golden State had a chance to take that into 7. They were down by 2. Curry shot a 3-pointer and missed it, and this is what we've seen consistently out of Steph Curry, is he is not able to hit that clutch shot when it matters the most. And just like Chris Paul, Chris Paul does not have a ring, and I've said it defines his legacy to me. You got to get to at least 1 NBA Finals, in my opinion. Well, to me, this defines Steph Curry's legacy because Curry has to win 1 Finals MVP. If you ask me, I think this is a big series for him. In order for Golden State to win this series, Curry has to play up to the level. Now, he doesn't have to hit 7 threes and score 21 points in 1 quarter like he did in Game 1, but he has to bounce back and he has to be consistent. Again, if he gives you, about 5 or 10 a quarter, it gives you between, 25 and 30 points. You go along with Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins and Otto Porter and all those role players are going to make plays. Kevon Looney is a great defender, and you just have to lock in. Boston's a good defensive team, but really I thought in Game 1, Golden State had a lot of open looks, even in the 4th quarter when they got outscored 40-16, and they just weren't dropping. I think one of the things that Boston has confidence, though, now is that Boston can now come back and say, okay, we can put up 40 points on these guys in a quarter. We're never out of a ball game. I think that will give confidence for Boston going forward. I think it's a good sign for Boston that Jason Tatum, number 0, the guy who should be rising into superstar stardom, did not play that great, and their other guys were able to contribute. I think my biggest problem with Tatum right now is, as much as I love Jason Tatum, he's not consistent. He doesn't have, consistent 30, 25, 35-point games. Some nights he'll give you 30, some nights he'll give you 50, other nights he'll give you 10 to 15. So it's that consistency that Boston needs to find. And again, if he is only giving you 10 or 15, they really need guys like Al Horford to step up, and they need guys like both Williams. They have Robert Williams, Grant Williams, Marcus Smart to step up and make shots. Last night they did. I'm not sure Boston's going to be able to do that throughout the series. I think tonight Golden State bounces back. I think it could be a rout tonight. I think Golden State's going to come out. They're going to put the pressure on Boston. They know they need to win. That was their first loss ever in the postseason game at the Chase Center and in the NBA Finals. Their first loss this postseason at the Chase Center as well. I think Golden State needs to bounce back. I think we're going to go to Boston tied 1-1. I think Golden State feels confident that they could take Game 3 or Game 4 in Boston, and they're going to need to. Because if Golden State is down 3-1, I think Boston's got a great opportunity to close them out in Game 6 in the TD Garden. We know these are 2 great coaches. Ime Udoka has been waiting a long time for a head coaching opportunity. He's finally getting it with the Celtics. And then you got Steve Kerr, who has obviously been in some of the biggest games in the NBA history over the last 8 seasons since he's taken over for Golden State. We know the experience of the finals is there for Golden State. We'll see if Boston can rise to the challenge. Typically, again, there's great offense for Golden State against great defense for Boston. The NBA is different in the NFL, where the NFL, usually the defense wins. In the NBA, it's usually better offense wins. We'll see, though. Boston, if they're good enough offensively, they can certainly give Golden State a series. If Boston wins this championship legitimately, I think it puts a knock on Steph Curry and Golden State's record, but it would be a huge credit to Boston for basically being under 500 at the start of January. And now here, as we head into the middle of June, they could be NBA champions. They're playing the best basketball they have in a long time, and I think it's going to be a fantastic series. I'll still take Golden State, though, in 6 games.